Hello, welcome back to Healing Mama podcast. I am Val, aka Healing Mama, and today is episode 12. Comparison is the thief of joy. So, I've been wanting to do this one for a while. I have actually been talking to my husband about this a lot lately, and we've kind of been going back and forth on his thoughts, my thoughts. So, we'll go ahead and we'll kick it off with a quote. So, I have two today. The first one is comparison is unhealthy and a thief because it slowly takes your confidence and joy. It is also unfair because it leads you to envious, self defeating thoughts based on someone else's journey. That's a good one. The second one is comparison is the thief of joy. If you're always comparing yourself to others, you'll never see yourself as a unique and awesome person that you are. By Jane Olsen. And so I love both of those. I really was just going through them, and these two really stood out to me. I was talking to my husband, and we were going back and forth, and it all started with the topic of intimidation. And, I feel like on my end, I've never really been somebody who can honestly say that I've been intimidated by people. I've never really felt that. What I have done is like judged myself against someone. So, again, the comparison side of things in terms of like physical appearance, but never been intimidated by that person. So, let me explain. I feel like there are two different things. I feel like comparison is one thing and intimidation is another. And so we were going back and forth on this topic. And so I feel like intimidation, you're afraid of the person. You are shying away from speaking to the person, or you're afraid to even approach the person because you're intimidated. You feel like they have something that you don't. Right. So in that sense, I don't feel like I've ever felt that. I've never really been intimidated by somebody in that type of sense. Now, comparison to me is where I am comparing myself. I am putting myself side by side this person. I'm looking at their physical appearance and I'm like, okay, she's skinnier, she has a big booty, she has beautiful hair, beautiful face, whatever the case is. She can go to the gym every day, and I'm comparing myself physically. So that to me is not the same as intimidation, right? Because I'm not necessarily intimidated by this person. I'm comparing myself and I'm looking at this person. I'm saying, wow, she has this, that. And then I look at myself and I'm like, okay, but I'm, on the thicker side. I don't have this. I don't have whatever, right? I just start going down the list. Not that I do that anymore, right? But this is what I used to do. We were going back and forth on this topic, and so I was telling him comparison is the thief of joy. I had read that, and that really stood in my head, stood in my mind. Comparison is the thief of joy. Why? Because when I was comparing myself to people or to a specific person, I was telling myself I wasn't enough, that something isn't right with me. And why can't I look like this person? Why can't I look like that person? Why can't I have this person's booty, this person's body, whatever the case is? And I was telling myself that everything that I had wasn't enough, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't beautiful, that I wasn't whatever. And who I am today is somebody that can accept herself fully for who she is on this journey in this point of her life, right? And I was telling him, I feel like a lot of the times when we compare people, we never compare down, right? And so what I told him is I am trying to now look at the bigger picture and not compare myself to somebody else because they're on a completely different journey. Maybe they are on a health kick and they're exercising. Why am I going to compare myself knowing damn well that I'm not doing any of those things? So that's not a fair comparison, right? And I'm also just not at that stage. And so what I am comparing myself to is the person that I was a couple months ago, the person that I was years ago. Do I see growth? That's all that matters to me. Do I see happiness, right? Because another thing with comparison is it's easy for people to go on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, whatever kind of social media, and paint this picture perfect life and have this picture perfect world and look beautiful. And maybe the person is beautiful, right? But deep down inside, maybe she doesn't feel beautiful. Maybe they don't feel beautiful. And so they post these pictures, right, to get that validation. And so we're seeing it as, oh man, look at this. But on the inside, that person is hurting. On the inside, that person needs external validation. So everyone in some form or fashion at some point in time has had comparison syndrome. And I don't know if that's a thing, but that's what I'm going to call it. And so Then we switch it to intimidation, right? We're going back and forth, and he was explaining to me there's this person that he came across and that he's met, and he feels like, man, this person has it all together. I kind of get nervous when I talk to this person. And I asked him, why do you get nervous? He said, well, he has this, he has that. And he starts going off, right? He starts comparing himself. And I said, okay, so does he breathe the same air that you breathe? He's like, yeah. And so I'm like, okay, so he's a human just like you are. He has things a certain way, you have things a certain way. But don't be intimidated by the person. What I told him I wanted him to do was I wanted him to look up to the person, right? And I say that because I feel like when you're comparing yourself and when you're intimidated by a person, you can switch it, right? You can go from a negative to a positive. Let me use this person as an example. I like that she has this. I like that he has that. Look at his muscles. Let me ask him, hey, what's your workout routine? Would you mind sharing it with me? Hey, what are you doing to look this good? What are you doing? How did you get into that job? How did you go down this path of XYZ to get to where you are today? And so instead of taking it from a negative and comparing yourself and taking away your joy, see it as I'm going to look at this person and how can I learn from this person? How can I use this person as a mentor to get me to where I want to be? I see that he or she has this. Let me ask them, can you walk me through this? Can we become friends so that I can learn from you and we can learn and grow from each other? And so why steal your joy when you can be on the path to growth and success and everything that you want? When you look at social media, remember everything has a filter. You can go to pictures nowadays and you can change it and you can have a filter. Imagine everything in social media has that filter. It doesn't matter if it's a picture or a video, right? And by filter, what I mean, some people will only let you see what they want you to see. That's the filter, right? Are they going to post that deep down inside, this is going on in their house, they're unhappy? No, right? Because we want to tell the world and stick it out and say it with our chest that we're doing fine, that we're happy, that we're good, right? And for some of us that might be the case, but others it's not. So when you see your friend going out and she's working out every day and she's building this body, I ask you to please not compare yourself. Maybe become closer with that friend and tell her like, hey, like, can we work out together? How can I do this? This is something that I struggle with. I really want to give it a shot. Can you please help me? Or if you see that you have a friend and your friend on Facebook just got into this new career path. Hey, I've always wanted to do that. Can you lead me and guide me? What's some advice? What's some tools that you've used to get you into that new career? Like, congratulations. I'm excited. I want that too. So taking away the negative part of it where it steals your joy and growing off of somebody else's joy, learning off somebody else's experiences and learning to not compare ourselves, learning to not be intimidated. I have always said I wanted to be a world traveler, right? I'm going to be a world traveler. I know it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's a matter of when it's going to happen. It's my job to ask, believe, receive. Right? That's how I feel in my heart. And so I saw recently old coworker of mine. She went to Greece. I think she went to a couple of other places. And I was like, holy cow, girl, this is what I want. Congratulations. Like, I'm so excited. It looks beautiful. You look beautiful. And genuinely being happy for her. Genuinely being happy for her and seeing that she's getting to experience this life, that she's getting to experience that life brought me so much joy. And I told myself, like, that's going to be me in the future. And guess what? When I do go to Greece, I have somebody that I know that I can ask, hey, where did you stay? Hey, where did you eat? Like, give me some recommendations. And so versus comparing myself or being intimidated by that person, I now have gained a tool in a life experience that she has that I want. So I get to ask her, hey, how did you book your flights? What's the best way? What are the things to do? And so genuinely, I was so ecstatic for her. And she's always traveling. And so that's something that I love and that's something that I look up to in her, right? And so that's what I'm saying. You can change the negative of comparison, the negative of intimidation, and you can turn it into a positive. Why let comparison steal your joy? And at the end of the day, what it all boils down to is self-love, self-acceptance, feeling worthy, right? And it's like I told my husband, these people breathe the same air that you breathe. It's just a matter of how to find the path. And you can find that path if you have that person as a tool, if you use that person as somebody that can be a mentor, right? And so looking at it with a positive mindset, with a positive insight and aspects, every time you compare yourself and you feel less than, that's telling little you that you're not good enough. That's telling little you that somebody is worth more than you. And that's never the case because you are worth so much. We are all the same. Human beings that are born, we live and we die. We all breathe the same air, so nobody is better than you. And don't ever let little you feel like you're not enough, feel like somebody is better than you. Somebody might have a different lifestyle, might have a different education, might have a different background, might have a different career, whatever the case is, but they're not better than you. They just have a different life experience. But the key is you get to learn from their life experiences. That way, if that's something that you want and something that you desire, you can grow and learn from that person and experience those things. And so I challenge you to ask yourself, why am I intimidated by this person? Why am I comparing myself to this person or to these people or to this situation, whatever the case is? Ask yourself that. Write it down, jot it down. This is why, hey, I think that she has gorgeous hair, or I think that her body is on point. I think that she has this amazing job and I want to have that job. Write it down, right? And then look at it. Every single thing is going to be something that you want, right? And you have a person in your life that and this person has all those things. So befriend that person truly as a mentor and ask them to help you, to lead you, to guide you on the path of those things that you want. And the only time that you're going to compare yourself truly is to the person that you were yesterday. Am I a better person today than I was yesterday? And sometimes the answer is going to be no, right? All right, but how are we going to learn from that? What did I do yesterday that made me a better human being? What didn't I do today? Everyone's journey is their own, right? Everybody is on this journey of life, on this path, doing different things, wanting different things. And that's why it's a journey, right? We're trying to figure it out and going in life. And that's the whole point of a journey. It's for a single person. That path is for them. And so they're living that path, they're going through that path. But if you see little things that you like, you can always ask for help. You can always ask for guidance and you can gain that. And so stop looking at yourself as less than. And remember, it's going to sound crazy, but it's like I told my husband, like I said, you breathe the same air. It's that simple. Nobody is better than you, ever, ever. Do we have different life circumstances? Is there somebody out there that was born into millions of dollars? Yes. Does that make them better than me? No. Do you breathe the same air that I do? Okay. Then we are both human beings living in this world, experiencing life. And if there's something that I want to learn from that person that was born into wealth, then I will do my best to figure it out and learn. And maybe not necessarily, I don't know this person, right? I see it from afar, but let me look into similar situations, similar lives and see if there's something I can find. And if there's people out there willing to share their knowledge, their life experience. And there really is. I feel like if anything, the number one industry right now is teaching through life experience, and people will listen, learn, perhaps pay for the knowledge that you have, the experience that you bring to the table, because we as human beings want to fast track everything. And so we want to fast track the growth or the access to what it is that we want. And so looking for mentors that have that life experience, looking for a mentor that came into wealth or a mentor that was born into wealth. You can find them, I promise you. You look up life coaches and you will find them. And so versus being intimidated by those types of people, use them as mentors and gaining life experiences through learning from them, because you don't necessarily have to go through what they went through in order to get to where they're at now, right? You can kind of bypass that because they're sharing their life experiences. So they're going to say, hey, I did XYZ wrong. This is what you're not going to do, but you could still get to where I'm at today. And so utilizing that and not being intimidated by them because you breathe the same air. And I'm going to say that over and over and over because you are so worthy. And little you deserves to feel worthy. Little you deserves to feel like you're on the same playing field as this person, that person, a millionaire, a skinny person, a healthy person, whatever it is, right? You know your struggles and your desires. But next time you're scrolling through Facebook, I want you to remember everything goes through a filter. People see what they want us to see. And so when you see a certain thing on Facebook that makes you feel some type of way, or when you see a certain thing on social, I want you to remember that people see what they want you to see, right? I can easily go down to LA and rent a Lamborghini and say, hey, look what I got, right? You're not going to know that I'm renting it. I'm just going to, take off. I'm going to rent a Lamborghini, take off somewhere, go post a picture and be like, new wheels, hashtag new wheels. And you're going to believe it, right? Because you're going to see it. Again, social media is a facade, right? People see what they want us to see. But in wrapping this up, in all realities, what I want you to take out of this episode is comparison is the thief of joy. And you breathe the same air just like everybody else. So nobody is worth more than you. So don't ever let anybody intimidate you, or don't compare yourself to people, because you are so worth it. And like I said, just use these people that you look up to, because that's what comparison is. In some way, whether you want to admit it or not, you look up to this person, or you look up to the things that they have, or the way that they look. And so I want you to look at that and say, look, I do look up to this person. I do want this. I do want XYZ. And how can I learn from them? What can I do to get on that path? And stop comparing yourself, because what we do is we compare, we sit, we sulk, we'll cry, we'll be in our feelings, we'll say this and that or the other, right? And we just get down. And that's why I said it's the thief of joy. And so all you're doing is putting yourself in a funk, but you're not doing anything about it. You stay in that funk, you shake it off, then the next day you compare yourself again. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over. And so you're driving yourself insane. Stop. You don't need to do that. You can think differently. You can switch this negative into a positive, and you can learn from the person. So challenge yourself to do that. Next week, I am going to have a very special guest on. You have seen him in the past. My husband will be joining again. He joined in one episode, season 1. He'll be joining in the next episode to come. So I'm excited for that. We will be talking about inner child healing and his journey through this. And so I ask you guys to please like, share, comment. If you could share, that would mean the world to me. The more people that this message can get out to, the better. That's my goal. I really want to help people. I want people to feel like they're enough and they are worthy. And so anytime you can share any of my episodes, it's so greatly appreciated. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And please, like I said, like, share, comment, follow. I am on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And until next week, I send you so much love, peace, joy, positivity, and I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Until next time, bye.